All right, let's jump right into this explainer. If you've ever stared down the government regulations for radio communications, you know the feeling. It's like staring into a maze of forms, acronyms, and obscure regional office procedures. But today, we're going to demystify the whole thing. We're breaking down the exact life cycle of a National Telecommunications Commission radio application, step by step, so you can get on the airwaves legally and honestly with a lot less headache.
So, the National Telecommunications Commission, the NTC, they're the ultimate gatekeepers here. They dictate who transmits, what gear you use, and which frequencies you can actually occupy. And yeah, it seems super intimidating at first glance. But here's the secret. Their application checklists actually map out a really predictable, totally achievable journey. You just have to know exactly what they're looking for.
Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We're covering 5 main steps. 1. The radio operator examination. 2. Getting your actual operator certificate. 3. Station licenses and equipment. 4. The NTC processing steps. And 5. Renewing and modifying those licenses. Let's get right to it. Starting with Section 1, the radio operator examination. We're starting at absolute square one. Before you can even think about touching a dial or looking at a test paper, you need official clearance just to sit in the exam room. You can't just walk in. You need what's called an admission slip. The source defines this as a document issued by the Commission to a qualified applicant. It's literally your explicit authorization to take the commercial or non-commercial exam. Basically, it's the NTC's way of saying, yep, this person meets the baseline criteria to use our testing resources. If you look at the requirements, you'll start to notice a pattern real quick. Whether you're a commercial pilot needing an aircraft certificate, a grad going for a radio telephone license, or just an amateur hobbyist, the foundational requirements are identical. You're always going to need a duly accomplished NTC Form 1-01. You'll need 2 1x1 pictures, and a quick pro tip here, the manual is super specific that these have to be taken within the last 6 months. And finally, a valid ID, birth certificate, or passport to prove your age. It's a completely standardized entry point, no matter who you are. Moving on to Section 2, getting your operator certificate. Okay, so you studied, you took the test, and you passed. Awesome. But wait, passing the test does not give you the legal right to transmit. Not yet. For that, you need the actual radio operator certificate. Think of this as your core legal authority. It's a written permission slip from the Commission authorizing you to operate a specific class of radio station under a specific radio service. This is the document that finally attaches your proven, tested knowledge to a legal privilege. The crucial takeaway here is that converting that passing grade into a certificate means initiating a brand new transaction. It's a whole new step. You're going to need a photocopy of your valid report of rating. That's the official proof that you passed. You'll also need a new application form, which is usually Form NTC 1-02 or 1-03, depending on your license. Oh, and you need another set of fresh 1x1 photos, but this time they want 3 of them. So remember, your exam requirements and your certificate requirements are handled sequentially. They are totally separate steps. All right, Section 3, Station Licenses and Equipment.
Now, having the personal know-how and the certificate in your hand is great, but what about the actual hardware? The NTC doesn't just license you, the person, they keep a very tight grip on the physical equipment too. In fact, before you can get a radio station license for your gear, the manual says you often need permission just to acquire the hardware in the first place. Enter Form 1-09, the application for permit to purchase, possess, sell, or transfer. It's how the NTC ensures only certified operators are getting their hands on transmitting equipment. It creates this closed loop of accountability for the hardware.
Once you finally have the permit in your gear, then you apply for the station license itself. And these things are highly specialized. It doesn't matter if you're setting up a private amateur radio station, an aircraft station for aviation safety, a ship station for maritime trade, or even a commercial TVRO system for cable programming. Your equipment has to be paired with its own specialized station license. Literally every transmitter needs a registered home with the NTC. Next up, Section 4, the NTC processing steps. Let's step back from the specific forms for a second and talk logistics. What actually happens when you show up at the regional office window? Well, the NTC classifies these standard government-to-citizen transactions under a specific category called simple. Now, don't let the word simple fool you. It doesn't mean it's unimportant. In bureaucratic speak, it means it follows a very strict, highly standardized, and, most importantly, timed procedure. It completely takes the guesswork out of the equation for you.
And this structure builds into a surprisingly efficient timeline, which saves you from wasting an entire afternoon at a regional office. Step 1 is the pre-assessment stage. The manual allocates exactly 10 minutes for an engineer to screen your application for completeness. 10 minutes. If it's good, you instantly move to Step 2, the payment stage, which gives you another 10-minute window to receive your order of payment and settle your fees. And then Step 3 is just the issuance of the document. It is literally an assembly line designed for maximum efficiency.
So, what actually goes down during that critical 10-minute pre-assessment? Well, it's a fork in the road. If you paid close attention to the checklists we just went over, the pre-assessment gives you a statement of account, or an SOA, and you just go pay your fees, done deal. But if you missed a single photo, forgot to sign something, or brought an expired ID, you get slapped with a notice of deficiency, or an NOD, and your application is immediately returned to you. The whole system hinges on you walking in with a 100% complete application right out of the gate. Which brings us to Section 5, Renewing and Modifying Licenses. This is the final stage of the life cycle, keeping your operations in good standing over the long haul. Because getting the license, that's just day one. The NTC draws a very clear line between the two ways you maintain your paperwork. A renewal is explicitly for continuous operation. You're just keeping the status quo alive. A modification, though, is required anytime there's a change in the particulars indicated on your certificate. So, if you upgrade your license class, swap out your equipment, or move your station to a new address, you aren't just renewing, you're filing for a modification. It's actually kind of fascinating when you compare the paperwork burden of a brand new application versus a simple renewal. It's night and day. For a new application, you're tracking down your report of rating, seminar certificates, proofs of origin for your equipment, the whole shebang. But once you're officially in the system, the bureaucratic weight drops massively. A basic renewal usually just needs a photocopy of your old license, a new application form, and some fresh photos to prove you haven't drastically changed your appearance. Getting your foot in the door the first time is absolutely the hardest part. But a quick heads up here, if you hold a highly specialized license, it demands specialized upkeep to ensure continuous safety. For instance, if you're renewing an amateur license, you have to provide actual proof of your amateur activities or club involvement. Renewing an aviation radio, you're going to need a fresh CAP inspection report. For ships, it's an NTC inspection report. You essentially have to prove to the government that the equipment is not just sitting there, but is still being actively used and safely maintained. And that brings us to the end of our journey through the NTC manual. Now that you fully understand this life cycle, from grabbing that admission slip for your exam to getting clearance to possess your gear, navigating that strict 10-minute pre-assessment window, and finally renewing your station license, you know exactly how to conquer the application process. So the only question left for you is this. With the frequencies wide open and the paperwork crystal clear, what will you transmit across the airwaves? Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.